Since this is a challenge round, what kind of challenges are you facing, Renee?
Renee, yeah.
Right now, time. You know, it's getting better, but time is a challenge to be able to. I don't remember the last time I had a day off. But that's okay. Like I don't mind that either. I don't mind that I don't have a day off because all the energy that I'm putting into the business is going to come back right to me. So so I don't mind that I don't have a day off, but time is a big thing. But it's like I said, it's getting better. The more that we learn, and every day, every week, it just seems like we do have more and more time. And now I'm ready to say, okay, to Sean, okay, we're not going to do anything on Mondays. Monday is our day. So we're getting to that point. But the biggest challenge for me would be time. But I wouldn't even say that that's a challenge. You know, we're getting there. So
Cool.
yeah.
Have you got a schedule for like by X date that timeline will be gone, or is it just kind of play it by ear?
Right now it's right now it's just play it by ear. I think we're just trying to tackle little bits of things at a time. And then once those are all tackled, then we'll be able to be like, okay, you know, just I think it's just learning the process of getting licensed right now. That's what we're really facing, which isn't it's not hard by any means. COVID has been difficult because we drove down to St. Pete one day, all the way down to the court to the city, and the city was closed.
Uh,
You know, I should have probably called before we went down, you know, like little things like that have been frustrating. But then you just find you call and call and call, and then you finally find somebody that, you know, you can connect with, and then, you know, and then be able to get what you need to get done.
has COVID been good for your business or simply made it more difficult?
I think COVID has been extremely good for this business.
Yeah.
We've been able to bring food to people who are don't want to go out or who can't go out. And it's given us so much more exposure. Instead of just working festivals, we're able to go to people's communities and apartment buildings, and we're able to just reach so many more people.
Makes sense.
Yeah, truly. It's been a blessing, and I am very grateful.
Yay!
Yeah. So anybody who doesn't follow us, I'm just going to put a plug in here. Anybody that doesn't follow us, please follow us at Got Lobsta with a question mark on Facebook or on Instagram.
Say again.
Got G-O-T Lobsta, Lobstah with a question mark. And that's where we post where we're going to be every day and our menu. And then we're also on streetfoodfinder.com as well. And if you know of any communities or any festivals or anybody that's looking for a food truck, especially in the Dunedin area or the Clearwater Beach, that area, you know, we've had a lot of people request us to be like by Indian Rocks. And I just don't have any contacts that way. But I'm, you know, we're slowly building that.
Good.
Thank you.
I got one if you're looking for Indian Rocks.
Okay, let me know.
I got a new client that's down that way, so I'll see if they have any connections down there for you, Renee.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Sure.
And McAlpine Apartments in Dunedin would also be great. They've got a whole bunch of places here, you know, so that there are a lot of people here, and we've had food trucks here before.
Perfect. McAlpin Apartments.
Right. Yes.
Is that off of Keene?
Very good.
Okay. Perfect.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have a statement. There is a piece of software that attorneys use, but it is available for free and for use with small businesses. It's called Clockify.me, and it allows you to keep track of your time per day. And then at the end of the day, push a button and you see how you've allocated your time. And you can basically say, was my time worth was I using my time in a way most valuable to me? So that would be a resource that you might go to. Dino's probably already fully aware of that, because that's the kind of thing that I think a lot of small businessmen and entrepreneurs need to do. Where the heck did the day go?
Don, that's actually a very good piece of software because it integrates with a lot of other things that you might use. Like we use Pipedrive for our CRM system, and it integrates with that. So, I mean, so if I'm doing a task, I can actually hit Clockify. It'll keep track of how long it's taken me to do that task or whatever. Same thing with if you use Trello or Asana, any of the project management systems, they all integrate with that tool as well to keep track of your time. I use it and bill with it.
I knew you knew about it. Dino, you're the best.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Don.
Okay, so who's next to share what your business is and the challenges you may be facing?
Nobody's got any problems, huh?
Oh, definitely.
So, Gloria, are you up next?
I can speak.
Super.
I think most of you know, basically, mine is Your Accessible Life, and I'm basically an information location on things that people can do relative to new or worsening disabilities, practical advice and support. I originally started as saying, oh, it would be like life coaching, but I don't think there's a good way of funding that. And so instead, where I'm really going with it is just continuing to gather information and put it together in blogs and podcasts, but ultimately, with the hope of becoming an influencer in that type of field. There is information for people with definite disabilities. If you get a spinal cord injury, there's lots of information about that, what you need to do next. But my target group tends to be more as people get older, or if they have an illness that they basically sort of evolve into having a disability. All of a sudden, they can't walk as well. What do you do when you travel, and so on? All that said, basically, I continue to sort of try to figure out where I fit in, and then have the motivation to an organization to actually do something with it. I believe if I really put my, a lot of time and energy into it, I could be very successful with it. But I kind of do it in bits and pieces because it isn't actually a revenue stream for me at this point.
So, Gloria, you say fit in. What do you mean by that?
Basically how the business should really look. Is that what? I had originally designed it one way, and I discovered that wasn't the right way to go, and so I'm trying to determine how do I guess part of my issue is how do I reach my target group, because it's a group that doesn't want to define themselves as having a problem, and yet they are aware of their problems. I'll give you some examples. Every time I travel, some person will say to me, how did you know to do that? How did you know to ask for an aisle chair on the airplane? How did you get a wheelchair at the airport? We were just traveling. A woman came up to us in a parking lot and was quizzing us about the lift that we had in the back of our car. She said, I think I'm going to need that soon. So these are people that are starting to need something, starting to have a problem, but they're really sort of defensive about saying, I don't have a disability, which is why I always use the term less ability as opposed to a disability.
So the work you do is to help folks make life easier.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Maybe that needs to be in your title somehow or another. Thoughts, gang?
Make life easier. It's definitely a part of the blogs and the podcasts that I do. And the people that have subscribed, when I post something, I hear back from them. Oh, thank you. That was so helpful. That was good. But they only really sort of subscribed when they knew me.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't know if making life easier will help people recognize themselves in your brand, because I think part of the uniqueness of what you're doing is that you're tackling these issues for people that may not quite fit into where you're at, but they or don't want to come to grips with that, but yet they can still relate. So I'm trying to think, I think you've branded yourself pretty nicely. This is accessible life definitely says something. I do think that, I talked to you last week, and I think that you should definitely, pay attention to continuing your podcast and getting them out there and sharing them repeatedly, so older stuff can get revisited. Again, it doesn't hurt to do that.
Right.
Because I think the more people have it in their field of vision, I've sent people to your site numerous times. And I think it might also be helpful to, connect with organizations. I have a client who's does elder care, and she helps coordinate that care. But it might be nice to have reciprocal linking, so that when she's got her clients who are looking to care for their parents, they also have you as a resource, and vice versa.
I think you have more than one market, Gloria. That's a good point, Evelyn. I mean, you got more than one market. You're obviously trying to make it easier for the people that are disabled, but as well, having had people that help you, Gloria, as well, that, the caregivers of those that have disabled people are a target as well. And so if there are things that you can do to help those people, I think it would be helpful as well.
Well, and interestingly, Dino, when you say that, a number of times the people who are the caregivers are themselves experiencing some of those issues. If it's a husband
Sure.
of wife or wife of somebody who's 70, they're probably having stuff too. And I know, even in my case, I mean, you all know that I'm in a wheelchair, but my husband has had back surgeries. And so, he can't be lifting stuff. A lot of the systems we put together protect me, but also his back.
Him as well. Right. Absolutely. Yep.
And that makes me also think, Gloria, since you're doing podcasts, maybe you need to start finding guest speakers, like interview your husband about, the crop,
Right.
And the feelings that you had about all that, because that's the other piece,
Right.
People are looking for self-help. They're looking for, the psychology. I mean, I can figure it, I can get help, and it's temporary, to figure out how to make a ramp.
Right.
But what's not temporary and what's ongoing is the process of dealing with, these things every day, which I think people are also seeking help with.
Right.
So you might also consider conversations like that. Person experiencing this, not being able to, what it's like to, I can come up with a list.
No, thank you. You're right. And I mean, I had guest speakers on my program, but I think I have not had caregivers. And so I think that's a very good one. I had it on my list at some point. So thank you for reminding me. I will get it on my list faster.
Well, and going back to the original problem, I think, Gloria, that you were kind of wrestling with to some extent too, is I think you need to what you were describing in the beginning is the business model. So in other words, what is the business model? So in other words, what am I going to deliver as the service that I plan to deliver to my customer? So you got to figure that one out. But at the same time, you're in a startup mode, so you're juggling a lot of different balls because you need lots of answers to lots of different questions. And so some of it is you got to think about it. Stop thinking about the business as it's got to be locked down solid. Okay, you're in the initial stage one. Okay, the foundation stage. You're trying to build that foundation, and so a lot of what it is that you need to be doing is more it's more customer research. Okay, so don't try to look at everything that you do as collecting information to find out more about what your market wants and what they need, so that you can add those things to your delivery mechanism and make sure that you're covering the breadth of the things that are, and that'll help you to prioritize those things too. What should I really be doing? What's of the highest priority? And this goes back to the problem that Renee was talking about earlier, time. You only have so much time. Where should you be spending it? Well, like Dawn mentioned, the items that have the highest value and bring you the greatest return for the objectives that you're trying to accomplish. So
thank you, Dino. And I agree. I mean, it is natural for me to, I talk with people all the time, and right. I do try to pull in what they're, people, I remember the things that people ask me about just on the street, and I pursue it further. Sure. But I think that the real quandary I have is what's the wisest way to sort of coordinate that and motivate myself to create. Social media, I know, is what I need to be doing more of, and it's like, but which things should I be highlighting? I've got a lot of content on my site already. I've got a number of blogs written. I've got a number of over 30 podcasts already created, but I need to sort of understand the priorities, like you said, of the different audiences.
So categorizing those things in terms of what, and then maybe creating themes. I mean, the way that I did it was I looked at a calendar, okay, and I said, all right, based off of the topics that I have, when makes the most sense? For mine, it's calendar driven, so it's a little different. For yours, it may be process driven because you need to know these things first before you know the other ones or whatever. So come up with a theme and then pick a month and just focus on talking about those things. I think it'll help you to organize things in 30-day chunks as opposed to I got all of this stuff. How do I get it all out there and just being, all over the board? You may not engage everyone, okay, but you're going to engage at least the people that are interested in that topic and pull in more people that have that particular problem. And then we're going to shift. Next month, we're going to talk about something different. So it may not be the same group, but that's the way that you're going to build that following. It's a slow process. It may take a couple of years. I mean, my blog, I started writing it in 2011 in the book, and the intent was to write the book. The book didn't come out until 2016, the beginning of 2016. So it took, 4 or 5 years to get enough content that I had a whole book there. So same process.
I'd like to chip in here. It seems to me there's a question of content versus acquisition. Content of delivery, of the quality of the information and the breadth of the information that you have, Gloria. The other question is, as you say, the acquisition of folks that you can help. Acquisition, I've heard you say that it is a very much of a face-to-face kind of proposition, that when people see you, they basically relate to you and decide to trust you. And then with trusting you, they decide to engage your services. So in some ways, it seems like a hub and spoke issue. So the more you can engage hubs, the better you are, because they got lots of little spokes. And in the personal experience I would share with you was that I was in the financial services business for 43 years. And I had many different kinds of clients in very different age groups. My oldest client was 95. She had been with me for 43 years. And then you kind of go down the ladder from 95 to 80 to below. Under special cases, maybe in the 35 to 55 age category, there are definitely uses of your services. But I worked with a few hundred people, and I was a trusted advisor. And I knew the family dynamics and the issues of who hates who and who loves who and all that sort of stuff. So, and I cared, and most people in the financial services industry, I still believe, do care about the people that they work with. So if you had a way to engage small firms at the, shall we say, the C level, or a way to engage them from the helper standpoint, here's another services which is free, and helpful for your people in need. And they're in the business of providing financial products to be able to satisfy needs. But the needs sometimes go beyond the actual tangible numerical numbers. And so when you're delivering things that trust and help and feel good, then that elevates them in status with their particular clients, which is how they make money. In your particular delivery, you're just trying to provide help. So I think the concept of hub and spoke might be properly shared with you.
By the way, Dot, what you're saying that's interesting, you just reminded me. That's one of the other areas that I have on my list. I do have some categories about, things like I call it your home, your life, your world. Some of it's travel, some of it's home modification, and so on. But financial services, is there anyone I should speak with who I could interview, a financial services person? Because there's a huge issue when people stop being able to work, even when they're past retirement and they can't do additional work to is there someone that I should be speaking with to interview for my podcast?
The answer is yes. Pick up the phone and call Raymond James. Pick up the phone and call Robert Baird. Pick up the phone and call Morgan Stanley. You're offering a product which will make them look good in front of their clients. The fact that you've already done podcasts and things of that sort allow them to offer something via their normal electronic networks to disseminate your particular events at particular times. You can drive them back to your current website and show them what you've already done and what's available. So it's a win-win proposition. Win for them because they're providing another service. Win for you because you already know how to do podcasts, and win for driving traffic back to your website.
Okay, thank you.
So sorry if I'm so didactic, but that's just the way I think sometimes.
No, it's good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Gloria, I'm Maggie. This is Brent. One thing, hi, nice to meet you. One thing I think we wanted to chat about too is your content versus you having time to go and reach new customers, to do social media. I think one thing, and maybe you're doing this already, a good practice for blogging is to ensure that your blogs are evergreen. So everything that you're writing, every podcast that you're doing can easily be relevant today as well as next year. And Evelyn mentioned most people don't see the content you put out there. I think the number is like only 6% of your audience actually will see your content when you share it online. And so really repeating your messaging over and over, over a course of a quarter is really important. And if you write your blogs and content in a really meaningful way where you can, 1 month talk about the 10 travel tips to think about next time you're on an airplane. And then the next month you integrate travel and go back to that blog and say it in a different way, because when only 6% of your audience sees it, right, you have time again and again to kind of promote that message.
Thank you. Yeah, because I feel like I'm being repetitive sometimes, but I think you're right. That it's like people have said to me, you can reissue some of these with maybe a few different words, but thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super idea, Maggie.
Yeah, and we'll even go back and scrub like everything we do. We make sure that there's no reference to like dates or to, maybe with coronavirus, that's a little unique. I think sometimes there are specific events you can talk to, but we'll make sure if it's like, okay, if I can read it today and read it in a year, it would still be relevant. The other thing we mentioned last week, but we have just done this and gotten really good results. So we actually just put like $15 into Facebook ads, testing out a new idea that we have. And we it was really an offer. So we put an offer out there, but I'm even thinking for you, right? You could put like a Facebook ad out there that says, hey, sign up for our newsletter and receive 10, travel tricks for your next ride. Really target the demographic you're looking at. So I'm going to assume it's going to probably be an age range, but you can figure that out. And then what you do is you see who signs up, who are the new customers that are clicking, right? We were able to tell like 75% of the people that were interested in our product were women over like age 45. So it's a really cheap investment to not just say like, hey, here's my blog, click on the link, but instead they get emailed, the 10 tricks for their next travel and know that it's something really appealing to them that they can now be part of your newsletter. So we just kind of saw it as like an easy, low cost investment to get new leads. And we had like 30 or 40 people sign up, I think with just $15, which is, pretty good for us versus kind of a cold advertisement out there. And like, this is a business that doesn't even exist for us. It's a test market. So hopefully those were helpful.
Thank you. Very good. Thank you.
All right. So who wants to go next? Tell us about your business and what challenges you are facing. Carl, how about you? Are you ready to go next?
Hello?
Okay, sure. Carl Schrader. I have a Schrader Accounting and Tax in Largo, Florida, and this has been pretty good year for me too. I guess a lot of practitioners have decided to retire or get out of the business, so I'm picking up acquisition of a lot of new clients. Now I just get to the part where you got to start saying no and then kind of pruning the ones you have, and focus on the areas you want to focus on and grow in those areas. So that's kind of not really a challenge yet, but something I got to do, coming up. So it's I get a little bit of a rest at the end of this month because payroll will be done. So I have November, December to kind of think about things. It's a lot of seasonal business, but the can was kicked down the road because a lot of people filed for extensions, and so October 15th was the final deadline. So now I just have a few days, focus on payroll, get that wrapped up for the third quarter filings, and then that's it. So I'm pretty happy. I mean, it's been a little different than what I thought it was going to be, learning to do business on Zoom and face masks and kind of getting people from out of the area. You always just focus on, the one little area like, 4 or 5 miles from, the zip code you're in. But with Zoom, it's really broadened the horizons. I got a lot of people from out of the area, people I've never met before. So you just see them in pixelated and hear them, in voices on electronic mode. So a little bit different. It's an old dinosaur trying to learn new tricks. So that's it.
So how did you meet these folks on Zoom? Are these are meetings that you set up?
Yeah, I was on Zoom. You have clients that like, can we talk? And then like, can you do Zoom? And like, yeah, I can do Zoom. And like, so I guess maybe there's a lot of accounts that don't do Zoom, or they didn't do Zoom, and they said, it's kind of neat. So yeah, we just do Zoom, learn to use Splashtop where I can work remotely. So I'm here, but I'm not here. It's not like the accounting stuff that I was taught, like, paper and pencil and erasers and calculator tape. It's a little different. So, but so far I'm still standing.
Very good.
Accountant that embraced change. I'm impressed, Carl.
Scary, huh? Watch out, bolt of lightning is going to come down out of somewhere, But I still got my pocket protector, okay? I mean, something is never going to die.
No, Jennifer and I have experienced kind of the same thing. So I'm glad to I'm glad to see you on here, because it was like when I saw you show up, it was like, yep, tax season's over with, because I think Jennifer got 8 hours of sleep all last
week. Oh man, yeah. Periscope up. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And it's still, I still got it, still mopping up,
We want to connect with you for sure because we think we can do a lot more. We've had a lot of luck with the other tax accountants that we've worked with, so through this season.
I'm excited for you, Carl, that you got to see the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, that was weird. That was kind of weird. We got invited by a council member, so like, really? Okay. So it wasn't that many.
That is awesome.
Yeah. And I got up close. I got to see it. There's a lot of dings in that thing. So if that cup could tell stories, I'm sure there'd be a wild tale or two, you know?
Yes.
Where it's been and what it's
Did you know that there's, and I'm sure you know this, but there's one guy that his sole job is to
Travel.
like watch the Stanley Cup. Like he takes care of the Stanley Cup. That's his job. One guy.
Oh, guarding the actual cup.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Yeah.
He was pretty cool. He said, "You can get your picture taken, but don't touch the cup." Well, everybody was touching the cup. It's like, you know, at least they didn't freak out. You know?
They were putting babies in it. I saw that was cute.
All right. Who's next? Don't everybody speak at once.
Get Maggie.
Maggie Brett, yeah.
Hi.
Hey, everybody. So there's a larger crowd than we've seen here before. So for those who don't know, Maggie and I are new to the Dunedin area. Each of us is working on a small business, essentially. I'm doing an online marketplace, trying to connect small businesses and create innovative ways for them to connect with you guys through a same-day delivery service. So think Amazon, but think connecting them to Dunedin small businesses, and then hopefully expanding into like Palm Harbor, Safety Harbor, some of the outside areas to help the Dunedin businesses grow. And then Maggie is doing more of the consulting side, working with small businesses on a variety of areas. Our umbrella idea is just connecting people, ideas, and small businesses. So like Maggie said, we are doing a lot of customer research right now, just trying to get feedback from people. So in the past week, we've been doing some Facebook targeted ads. We posted on the Dunedin neighborhood Facebook group.
And this is for the delivery only. Yeah. The small business is separate today. We won't talk about that.
So we'll do marketing.
Or the consulting.
And we found the Dunedin, for those who don't know, the Dunedin neighborhood allows you to post on Tuesday to get some survey feedback and promote your business. It was actually a really good resource. Like Maggie said, we got between 25 and 35 people who took our survey. So we were able to gain insights on what types of businesses they want us to deliver to their houses, how often they're using Amazon today, and just start to get feedback of how they want pricing models and stuff like that. We will ask all of you guys if you have time. We'd love if you guys could take the survey as well, just so we can continue to collect data. And then what we're offering with that survey is if you give us your email address, we'll give you a free delivery for your first time.
Where's the survey?
We'll send it.
I'll send it in the
right
chat.
now.
I was going to say, yeah, put it in the chat box.
But overall, things I think are moving at a pretty good clip. The next point for us is to start. We've had some initial conversations with small businesses on if they've tried delivery in the past. Some were open to it, some of them were not open to it. But I think now that we have some market feedback,
customer
data, we can go back and say, here's what the customers are actually asking for. We want your business to be one of our test ones to deliver to people's homes with the same day service.
Yeah. And so just so you guys know, really what it would be is one website where we would aggregate the top products for the businesses we choose. So as a resident, you could go to, Dunedin Market and Delivery.com or whatever we end up calling it. Shop all your favorite small businesses in one location, and then we would fulfill that order once you order. Go and pick up the items at the businesses and then deliver it to you same day or next day, depending on which model we go with.
And what time you order.
What time, yes, exactly. So yeah, I don't know if you guys have any feedback or thoughts or if you'd be interested in this product, but we're excited about it. Honestly, this is how it came up. I really love shopping local. I mean, that's why we moved to Dunedin. It's this amazing neighborhood. And I wanted to buy thank you cards. And I went downtown and I literally visited like 15 shops before I found thank you cards. And I kept saying like, man, I should just order them off Amazon. I should go to Target. Like I know exactly where I can find them. But I'm very stubborn. I'm like, no, I'm going to get local, like sold thank you cards. And so after 15 shops, finally found one. But I'm like, wouldn't it be so much easier if you could go online and just say, thank you cards, and here are the 5 shops in downtown or wherever, whatever city you're in, that sell them, and you can have them delivered to your house.
I'd like to add something here,
Please.
Maggie. I think you're touching into a theme which many people have as a part of their heart. And by heart, I mean small business. A lot of people would shop local if they knew it made a difference in the life of their neighborhood.
100%. Yeah.
They need to have that pointed out.
Exactly.
And so and that's the theme I think you're dragging into. And Dino, you're the expert in this stuff, not me. But I'm just talking that I think there's a whole swath of people out there who would say, I'd rather shop in a small local restaurant or eat there, or shop in a local store because I help small businesses. Yeah. And then you tag along that with, small business, quote unquote, small businesses really need our help right now. And quite frankly, they really do. And the statistics do not look good. Okay. So I think that just accentuates the level of desire to help small businesses if you point it out to them. Yes. Otherwise, it's going to lay dormant and they'll say, oh, yeah, I thought about that. But Amazon was so much more convenient. Okay. Yeah. Or whatever.
It's a big education play. Like, I think about some of the brands I love, and I went towards those brands because they taught me something, right? They didn't sell me their product. They taught me that using Teflon in pans is actually really harmful for you, and these are the effects. And right, it was a very educational of like, if you do this, your life will be improved. I think we've been working through, there's some great like statistics and stories around how much money stays in your local community when you order on Amazon versus going to a local shop. So I think we want to, integrate that. There's also like a really big green aspect too, right? When people order local, you don't have as many Amazon, UPS, FedEx trucks coming into your town. It reduces traffic, it reduces emissions. So I think there's a lot of really great stories that we can lean into. But yeah, any help or advice on those messages that are really important to customers. But also, a side too that's helpful on the businesses, which I hope we can eloquently explain, is I hope this also helps small businesses take out some of the seasonality. Because really in Dunedin, we have a lot of seasonality in their businesses. And if we can rely more on the local residents to, be full-time supporters of these stores, I think that also provides economic benefits for these businesses to say, okay, when it's summer, people aren't visiting here for tourists, we need to lean into reaching out to our local consumers, residents. So I think it's a win-win. It's just, how do we, package that, do it appropriately, and get the right partners, because that's key, is like getting the good businesses.
So
I'm talking a lot.
I'm going to put on my innovation cap right now. Okay. And I love what you guys are doing, Maggie and Brent. I don't think you need to pivot, but I think we have somebody here that can help. And I think what I see with what you guys are doing, it actually assists with something that the city's already trying to do. I mean, they're spending tons of money right now on a shop local campaign and all the other kind of stuff. I think part of the problem, you identified it, Maggie, okay? You didn't know what they had at their shop, so you had to go look at all those shops. People aren't going to do that. Then you got all of these local shop owners that don't even know how to get online, how to put a shop local campaign together for themselves. And so you become an aggregator for what it is that the city's already trying to do and accomplish, okay?
Good point, Dino. Good point.
To do that, even better yet. Well, we got 2 people from the city that are on here, and so they need to be connecting with you guys and finding out more of what it is that you guys are doing. And you guys need to know what the city's trying to do to see how those 2 things can dovetail. Because I think Jeff and Danny, with what it is that they're trying to do with the Downtown Association and my understanding of that campaign, this fits perfect into what it is that you're doing. And it doesn't require that, hundreds of businesses have to do all of this stuff. There's already somebody to do that for them. All they got to do is be connected and help them to get onto that platform and provide that ability for them to do that. So,
Commissioner Gow, your thoughts, please.
uh-oh.
Jeff, are you there?
He's just there in spirit, huh?
Uh-huh.
I'm always there in spirit. Oh,
Yes,
well,
you are,
never
Jim.
mind. That made me sound like I'm omnipresent, and I don't want to go there.
For this time of morning, Jeff, you look pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that.
You even got all dressed up for us.
There you go. See the real me. In all honesty, I was looking up how to improve our water quality, so I was kind of half in and half out. So I'll be honest with you. But if you wanted to repeat the conversation, I know it's about Maggie and Brent. So
Sure.
What do you guys do?
Sure. The 10-second elevator pitch is we're trying to connect small businesses through our website and make it easy for consumers to find them on an online marketplace
with delivery.
with the same-day delivery service. So it's essentially, think Amazon, but just for the Dunedin small
Local.
businesses, connecting
Amazon
your
local.
shop to your plant shop, and then making it easy for people in Dunedin to support, and then eventually grow it to like Safety Harbor, Palm Harbor. So then these other areas are hopefully choosing to shop local, and then Dunedin's able to grow in the region more so than people giving money to Amazon.
That's great. That's great language, Dino. Local Amazon or Amazon local. That's essentially the concept.
People know Amazon, so as soon as you say that, it's like, well, yeah, I know how that works. Okay, well, we just brought it local to the community.
Yeah, right. And like the statistics we're looking at is when somebody shops on Amazon, say it's $100, $4 of that 100 actually stays in the community, paying for the delivery driver. But when you support local, it can range between $30 and $60 depending on the sourcing of those goods as well. And if you source locally, then you're getting $65 staying in the community, which is a multiplier effect. And I think that's what really excites.
Oh, that's great. Those are great stats. Thank you.
Yeah, that is just wonderful. And have you connected with the Downtown Merchants Association and or the Chamber?
We've connected with the chamber. We've asked for contact, but we don't have.
We
have one.
They
now.
gave us the contact from the DDMA. So that was.
I can help you with the contact of the DDMA.
Okay.
And I can.
What I really like about that, and actually the whole reason I tune into the business incubator at all is I'm a huge fan, and I know that we all talk about we're a huge fan of local, but we really are, and I think there's a resurgence of small businesses, and I think we're seeing that on the retail market, although that's being swallowed up because of Amazon. But I think what's going to end up, so I wouldn't tie myself, this is just Jeff speaking, who am I? You guys are the ones that start your own businesses. But tying to Amazon would be scary for me personally, because they are the big beast. And there can be some pushback because of that. So you want to get the idea out there on what they do, but don't necessarily tie yourself to them.
Right.
Because,
I would not use that name at all.
I would not
Because they would defend that to the death.
We won't. I mean, so the language is a marketplace facilitator. Do you get that? I don't think that concept resonates with people. So I think maybe the best way we can do it is like it's an e-commerce marketplace. I mean, does that get across quickly what we're trying to do?
It's like a
I think it's too technical.
Okay.
Yeah, just like
local marketplace.
local marketplace.
I like local marketplace also. That's just much simpler wording.
Right.
Right now we're Dunedin Market and Delivery, but we could be Dunedin Marketplace.
There you go.
Something that resonates with local.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Dunedin or local, even as you expand out, that whole concept of local, I think will really resonate with people.
I think local matters, yeah.
Yeah.
And Danny, you're listening to this?
Yeah, we've talked to Danny. I mean, honestly, we would love to partner with the city. I think that would be, from a long-term feasibility, I would love to help cities really target small businesses and consumers and bridge that gap as best as possible. I mean,
Well,
yeah.
And
So
the reason that I brought it up is because I know you guys have got that whole push, that is a part of trying to bring everything back from the pandemic and that sort of thing, and the local marketing. I think a lot of what it is that you're trying to do from that, and some of the businesses are trying to get online and they're finding it cost prohibitive. And it's like, this is way outside of my area. I don't know anything about technology or anything else. I know how to run my retail shop. So to have somebody that they can bring in that can assist them in doing all of that, and make it more cost effective so that, hundreds of businesses can do what it is that they need to do to make that small pivot that needs to be made. And at the same time, it gives the city of Dunedin what it is that they're trying to do, get more people to buy local in Dunedin. So I think we got the right players at the table that kind of all showed up here this morning and we're perfect. So
Yeah.
And so as a consumer, I would be purchasing through you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
But that product would be coming locally.
Yeah, so we would show you which shop it's coming from. So if you got, let's say, a book, it would say a book is coming from Back in the Day Books, or your plant is coming from Seeds Dunedin.
and we would fulfill that order, work with the businesses to get that inventory. So we'd have to kind of figure that piece out, but we're thinking, the most popular items that they have in inventory on a regular basis in the beginning.
I got it.
And then we would scoop downtown into the businesses, pick it up. And yeah, we were saying Dunedin's actually built wonderfully from a warehouse perspective, because you have the majority of businesses in one location, and then the hubs and spokes are the people around it. So from a delivery perspective, it's actually pretty feasible.
easy, yeah.
So
What kind of stores are you thinking to have on your marketplace? Because when I think of downtown Dunedin, I think of a lot of
like clothes.
yeah, like clothes and maybe things that tourists would need.
Yeah.
So what kind of stores are you thinking of having on this marketplace?
Sure. So the number one product feedback we got was like cleaning supplies and home goods. So I'm thinking maybe Nature's Food Patch has cleaning supplies.
But we would,
Ace Hardware has cleaning supplies.
that's the only one. It's the most requested item, and that's the only one. We don't have like a specific store in mind. So if you guys know any stores that have cleaning
Toiletries,
supplies,
cleaning supplies.
but that was number one.
Coffee and bakery was number two. So getting like your coffee grounds delivered, and I think Sandpipers or Dunedin Coffee Co. or Two Pro, one of those ones would be good for that. There was
House goods and pet food.
Pet supplies was a big one
was big.
that people wanted delivered. Batteries.
There's tons of groomers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure they all have
Yeah.
supplies and stuff like that they sell internally. That would increase their retail sales, which they would love that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
in fact, I just talked to one yesterday that was looking, that didn't know that there was grant money available, and we're trying to help her to find grant, get the Pinellas Cares grant money for her grooming business. So
Oh, good.
she has a storefront, so I'm sure she's selling pet supplies too. So
We would love to partner.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, take the survey, because what we thought would be, we were thinking like books. I was thinking batteries and tools, because that's the stuff I always want delivered. And then the survey results have started to tell us a little bit of a different story. Gifts and items, I think we could put on there. We wanted at the very least to sell the what is it? I love Dunedin bag, or the swag bags, at least to help the city out a little bit. But we're gaining feedback. So if you guys have any suggestions, but I think we wouldn't also just stay downtown. Like their pharmacy was another one. There's the medical shop, or the medicine shop that we could potentially partner with. So just getting creative and maybe have like 10 companies in the beginning and then expand if it's successful after a pilot.
Sure.
Would you be cookie cuttering this into different towns and places too? Because I'm just looking at, while we're talking, I just looking on the website. It looks like Microzone, Eurozone, those were available. It's a spinoff on Amazon, but I don't know. Like Donald said, that could be fighting with fire. But I just didn't know if you'd be cookie cuttering this into bigger, like all of Pinellas County, state of Florida, Tampa Bay, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we had to talk through, and I think I have to even tell Brent, like, we can't talk about Amazon, because the clients who will purchase this, they care about local. Like, there's a very specific clientele, right? So it works like Amazon, but also like UPS in the sense that it's just delivery. But ideally, you know, this could change. I would love for this to stay city specific and community specific. So yeah, having it scalable, being able to work with the cities that are open to it and that are being really innovative of how they're thinking about economic development, and say, hey, this worked in Dunedin, let's try it in St. Pete, let's try it in, you know, wherever, Safety Harbor, let's try it in Orlando. I think we'll learn stuff along the way, but for me, the compelling aspect is you're keeping things in your community and really empowering residents to build the community that they want to live in.
Local products delivered local.
Exactly.
That's
By the way, though, I don't know how your business model works, but the whole idea, like you talked when I was thinking when you're saying Dunedin or Safety Harbor and stuff, I think you need to keep it local, regional, because like if I'm sitting in Dunedin and I want some good Greek something, you know, it's going to come from Tarpon. It's going to be better, but you know what I mean. But to me, it's Pinellas County or it's Suncoast type of thing.
Sure, yeah. And I think that could maybe expand. I think for, you know, right now is it going to work in one city? But definitely, I think region or community. I mean, right, this conversation is all a community. So maybe it's like Upper Tampa Bay, something along those lines.
Don't use Upper Tampa Bay.
And
Don't use those words. You're in Dunedin. You're not in Tampa Bay.
I was going to say, Jeff might have something else to say about that, right?
Yeah, my question is a business focused more on supporting the residents of local or the businesses of local? For example, if I'm a Dunedin resident and I'm looking for a coffee pot, and a Mr. Coffee or whatever, you know, those products that we all use daily that we don't manufacture here. Would you carry, you know, would you look for, so would you tag in, that would be something, I guess, Ace Hardware might. And you know, what's nice about Ace is while it is a national brand, they try real hard to be as local as they possibly can.
It's locally owned.
They're locally owned.
And
yes. And they carry everything that they talked about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. And so, yeah, as long as you're tagging into somebody like Ace who would have those, I'm looking for a vacuum cleaner or whatever. So that also includes your inventory of what can be purchased.
Yep.
Very cool.
I think businesses were our first interest. So making sure we're serving the local businesses, but you can't do that without the consumers. And, you know, listen, if this is super smashing success, I'm sure we would have a business partner that would be willing to start selling cleaning supplies, right? Like, I think if there's demand, I would hope that the local businesses are willing to also, you know, think about their inventory and what's popular. So I'm not too stressed about that, because if, you know, we're making hundreds of thousands of dollars, which let's pretend that's the case, you know, it's like, oh, okay, order cleaning supplies. Like, you'll definitely have a demand for it. And then their business would also shift. So
I think two things. One is you need to go ahead and get your website.
Yeah.
Two, you need to go ahead and get one or two local things and just give it a shot.
Yeah.
I think my personal opinion, Dean will probably tell me I'm wrong, but jump in and go. I don't believe in this too much. Do the research, yes, but don't wait too long, because I'll tell you what, you wait too long, someone else will already get it done.
Yeah. Dick, what you're talking about is, you know Chris Krimptos, right?
Oh yeah, I know Chris real well.
Chris's book, right? Start Ugly. That's his book. That's the title of his book is Start Ugly.
10 years ago, him and I talked about that, and we always had this different opinion. Mine was get it done. If it works, great. If not, what do you need to do to change it to make it work?
Right.
Get going.
Yeah. Right. It's like being a parent. It's like being a parent. You don't wait till you're ready to be a parent. You just do it.
You just do it, right?
Well, sometimes it just happens. But the thing is this. I've worked with so many entrepreneurial brains who have waited too long, and all of a sudden somebody else comes in and gets it done before them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And that's what I'm afraid of in this situation. I love that the shop local is a good idea. You know, buy local is a smart thing, and it does do a lot of different things to our economy and to our environment and all those other happy stuff. But it's how we put this across. But I'm gonna tell you, I think you ought to jump in.
Yeah.
Dino probably gonna yell at me, but Dick says jump in.
No, not at all.
We're planning for November start.
Yeah.
So check out our website, sign up, you'll get free delivery. We have a temporary website. This is just our test. But
I live over the border in Clearwater. I'm right there on the border, though. I'm on Sunset Point Road.
I don't know.
For our pilot.
Hey, no worries. I'll help you if I can.
I'll chime in with Dick and Dino and also say, I think the Japanese had a great saying when they came out of World War II: do it once and make it better.
Yeah.
Do it once and make it better. And that's exactly what Dino and Dick are saying. Do it once, get it done, and then it's ugly, so make it prettier. But at least get started.
Yeah.
Just make sure you understand what the objective, if we're moving forward, what is it that we're trying to achieve or find out here, okay? And keep your eye focused on that. So I don't have a problem with starting out. I think the problem is most people that just jump in, they just jump in without any, what am I trying to achieve? I just make sure you have some sort of a short-term goal or objective, whatever you want to call it. And
do the research, get prepared, execute.
Execute. Yeah, there you go.
I mean,
And if anybody saw Amazon when Amazon first started, I was buying books on Amazon way back when. It was horrible that site.
Yeah, it was horrible.
It was.
It was.
But, I remember my friend investing in Amazon early on, and she made enough to build a house. So, things grow.
Cool. You guys can invest in us, and then maybe you can have a mansion in the future.
I got there.
We can talk about that.
We'll come back in 3 weeks and we'll let you know the how it's going.
Good sales there, Maggie. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, no promises, but worth a shot.
I'm easy to get a hold of.
Cool. Thank you guys so much. This has been very helpful.
Good.
Okay, who's next?
Who else we got on here?
Dick, tell us about your business and
Well,
what
right
challenges
now,
you're facing.
I'm be honest with you. I'm not facing a whole lot of challenges. I'm facing some really good stuff. I've been contacted by a BNI in New York City, and I'll be teaching a class for them across Zoom, which I thought was pretty funny. But right now, quite frankly, my contacts are getting a hold of me more and more, and they're all around the country, which I find pretty exciting. In our own backyard, I shared some information with the Dunedin Chamber on Tuesday, put a little thing together, the 6 steps of success. And I'm going to be putting another one on for them in January. We're going to talk about the 7 learning styles, which is the same thing I'll be teaching for the New York City BNI, by the way, which is really kind of fun for me. In my local
Wrangler's
backyard,
going to a city.
I'm
the
sorry?
Wrangler's going to the big city, Dick.
Well, I thought that was really funny because they said, would the leadership Wrangler be willing to take and, share a class with us? And I went, well, yeah, I guess so. When they all wanted to know if I was going to wear my hat. I said, well, I don't normally wear my hat indoors. It's, don't do those things. But anyhow, what we're really working on now is connections. And those connections have taken us into a different mode. And that's with COVID. Quite frankly, our company is starting to rejuvenate. People like the way we come across. And so the TV and radio spots are growing. The people across the country, I'll be speaking in Colorado day after tomorrow. So basically, I can sit here and speak anywhere, which is pretty darn cool. I do miss the travel, though. I won't lie to you. I miss the live audiences. I miss being in front of the stage. I won't lie to you. So that's the only big challenge. The only thing I'm working on currently is I've got re-energized to finish that next book. And so the third book of the Dead End Kid will come out right probably at the end of the year. I'm gonna try before Christmas. We'll see if we can get it done before then. But that's the number 3 book, and number 4 book is about 3/4 of the way written for the Dead End Kids. So we'll have to do number 5 because I told them I was going to do a 5-book series. So if you want to know about growing up in Florida, you want to know about growing up in the sticks, you might want to take and turn into the Dead End Kids, because the Dead End Kids do some really kind of cool stuff. So all good. That's me.
Super.
Awesome.
Dino, how about you?
We're busy. We got lots of big projects that kind of seem to all come our way lately. So the time thing that Renee talked about is kind of dropping in our lap as well. So we're trying to keep a health clinic from shutting down and owners going to jail. We're working on helping somebody convert all their data, and then in the interim of all of this, it seems like I've gotten 3 requests from people that are in the process of buying businesses or buying out their partners that need business plans and all that kind of stuff. So I'm busier than a one-armed paper hanger, I guess. And then we're going to launch all the FBI stuff on top of it. So.
Dino, are you still taking care of the climbing opportunity down in St. Pete?
Yeah, I mean, they're still a client for sure.
Okay.
I'm not actively engaged with them right now just because things are kind of on autopilot, but
okay.
You need
I had a client
connection
that
there or
wanted to
whatever?
sell an indoor climbing wall, 30 feet tall, 5 stations with auto blaze. And so I had a client, so I was going to call them and see if they wanted it. So, but it's
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it's a good deal for 20 grand. Believe me, the only thing that costs a lot of money is to move it. So.
Right.
All right. Evelyn, how about you?
You guys are asking that question while I bike home from my morning appointment. So if you hear wind, it's because I'm biking.
Okay.
Wow.
The whole thing about time, it's like I'm trying to cram in everything that I possibly can and still take care of my, physical needs, because I've had a fatigue cycle last 2 weeks that has been shutting me down too much. So anyhow, I'm doing well. I think a small challenge, I used to run creative soul care workshops in Orlando. I used to run about 4 classes a week. And a soul care workshop was, based off the book, The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And with COVID and so many people getting Zoom fatigue, I'm starting to hear that people are missing connection. But like, how do you fix this without putting yourself at risk again? So I've had a couple of people ask me about getting together in some sort of social format. And I was thinking about doing a class. I heard Dick Howell say he misses the classroom, and that resonates with me because I do miss teaching, facilitating, and those kinds of things. So trying to find people to gather in a group, and whether or not to, do it for free for friends or do it broadly to supplement my income. So I'm just toying around with those ideas. And then I'm going to mute in case anybody has anything to say, so you don't hear the wind the whole time.
Boy, I'll tell you, if you can find a facility that will let you take and do it, is the hard part that I've found. So I don't know what to tell you.
Well, my sister and I do some writing practice work with Loudon. She does a poetry writing exercise, and that all happens over Zoom. And there's a lot that can happen, in a virtual environment. Especially what I did, I wasn't teaching art. I was teaching people to look inward and unravel all the things that have bound up their creativity. So that required a lot of work on their own, and then coming on a weekly basis to kind of process their discoveries,
Right.
and hopefully do some healing work around it. So you're right, finding a facility for that's not going to charge me an arm and leg, so that I have to charge people, $250 for an 8-week cycle. I was charging half that. That was barely the cost of a yoga class. It was in Orlando. It was hard to find those facilities.
I have struggled to find those facilities here, in my own backyard. The facilities I used to use have all said no to me. So it's really, really tough. And it's the number of students or number of learners that want to come.
Right.
I put something out and the number of comes in 25 or 30, I can only really take 8 to 10.
Right. Or the opposite problem, you don't have enough to warrant the cost of the.
Exactly.
Of the
And that's
room.
to cover the overhead.
Check out the
And for Matt, go ahead, Michael.
Check out the Presbyterian Church on Scotland.
See,
First
churches often require it. They can't. It's like the library. You can't charge a fee.
Right.
And so then I have that challenge. Boy, it's
Well-
gonna get loud over here in a minute.
Right. If you talk to David Seymour, since you're a nonprofit in particular, who knows what could happen.
Yeah. David might be able to help you. I'm a Presbyterian on the Presbyterian board, so I know most of the churches and most of the pastors. So if I can help you, I will. But that has not been a good market for me. So.
Right. Well, and so we've got Maggie over there that's doing, maybe she should add, group spaces to the to their sales platform. So
Yeah.
if I need a place to do things, if they find organizations that have the space, holy cow, that'd be a huge help, because services sometimes are looking for places, especially small people, like me.
Yeah.
So,
We could ask Jeff to take maybe we could look into something in Dunedin, in Stark, that big town of Stark up in North Florida.
yes.
They oftentimes will allow me to take and use the chamber building to have a class. But they're more open to, but they're a little bitty like Dunedin. So I think that maybe we could look into that opportunity. It helps the city, it helps the people. You still have to pay your bills, so we have to take and have a few bucks come our way.
Exactly.
It just makes sense in my world to take if you've
Yes.
got an office that sits empty and somebody can use it, anyhow, that's just my 2 cents.
Well, yes, I agree with you. I think that's been, and catering to smaller groups like this, because oftentimes when they have pricing, it's like they're expecting conference sizes, and that's what I'm never going to, well, I shouldn't say never. I take that back. Maybe someday I'll be a TED talker. We'll see. But
when I was doing conferences and those dollar signs were, big, I really enjoy the smaller places, even though I never make as much money. And for me,
Yes.
it's not always about the money, and I don't think it is
Correct.
for you either.
No, it
It's
isn't.
about sharing the knowledge of what we can share.
Right.
I agree, but I also think there has to be a little bit of a buy-in, just as we do, in any organization that's offering services, even therapists. Like I used to, work at the counseling center, and the lowest fee that we would charge would be $1, because some people just didn't have the money. But at least if they put their dollar down, they would show up for their appointments.
Yeah.
Yep.
People don't pay. People don't listen. Sorry.
Right.
I learned the hard way.
Right.
And Evelyn, I mean, maybe this is expensive. Have you reached out to any, it could be a liability problem, but any like coffee shops or places, right, that you could utilize their space when they're closed? I've often thought that businesses don't utilize space well. Like they should be maximizing their space 24/7
And get revenue from a different source
Right.
of their sales.
But could be worth, reaching out to a shop or a business that would be willing to host you guys once they close down.
We used
That is a good idea.
Yeah, we used to use a lot of the coffee shops. Panera was really good because they had some ones that had closed rooms, and as long as your people bought stuff, you could use them. And I used to use some banks, which would open up after they closed. They would allow me to use their lobby because the rest of the bank was closed, locked up, but the lobby was open. But those have not helped us here in the last 7 months. So.
No, and once again, the need for co-working space in the community, places like that is that is where it's always lacking for me, and it has in the last 15 years that I've been doing the work that I've been doing.
Yeah.
I've often thought about, just hosting a how-to class. I used to go to Staples, back when they were selling PDAs.
Yeah.
And they would have me go in and do a mini lecture. I could advertise myself, and I would do a how-to, manage your PDA. And people would show up for this stuff, and then I could give them my card and make business.
Yeah.
Never had to pay a fee to do that, but, it's hard to find those relationships. It's hard to set those things in motion.
Okay, I've got it on the top of my list for looking for places. That's what I just wrote down.
Nice. and now I have to sign off because I have to get to an 11 o'clock, and if I don't shower all this bicycling off of me, that'll be pretty sorry. So
Go take a bath, girl.
thank you. It's good to see everybody. I love seeing the bigger group. I hope next week, Dino, you're talking about business plans next week, right?
Yep.
Yep. So when you were saying you had a couple of businesses who are talking about business plans, you better tell them to come to your lecture.
Well, I was going to say, tell everybody to spread the word that's in the group today, because
yes,
it's important, especially being we're getting towards the end of the year. So.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Hey,
Great.
thanks, Dino. That's good information. I can spread the word.
Sure.
Okay, Jeff, tell us about your business and the challenges you are facing. That should really be interesting. Jeff, are you there?
I am here.
There you go. So then tell us about your business and the challenges that you and the city are facing.
Oh my goodness. The beauty of what the challenges in the city is it's all public. And you might have to live in a cave if you haven't seen some of the things that we're working on, right? We just voted to put some money towards the Gladys Douglas property.
Good.
If you haven't seen that, we've gotten a tremendous amount of public support. And that's kind of my bailiwick, wheelhouse, what have you. And so it really excites me when your own values are validated. So that's kind of nice.
Good.
So that's some of the stuff. Certainly the pandemic, it's really challenging as a city to go through this and trying to feeling everybody's pain and trying to search for a way to help and to get out of this. And when there really isn't one that we can really control, it's understanding the needs of the residents. And you talked about it this morning on being social and just getting together and the challenges of doing that. And at the same time, the health and safety of the community versus the economic engine of the community, and trying to support the businesses as much as we can. We think we're doing okay. Right now, we're getting ready to venture into our high season, our tourist season, whatever you want to call it, and which is usually a time where there is a special event every weekend from November through February or March. And right now it's nothing. And that's sad and it's disappointing. And it's so just trying to get through that. Now, we do have some special events that have applications in, and we're looking at those, but understanding the health and safety behind that, understanding the optics behind that. And we don't need bad press in Dunedin. It was really nice, and this is going back a couple months, but when we first started to open up, the city really reached out to the downtown businesses on how we can help you. And we were willing to even close down the roads in Dunedin to allow those restaurants and bars to then use the street to open up and provide more service. But even the owners, the business owners, weren't comfortable doing that. So that was really comforting for us to know that we weren't holding back business, that we really were working as a community to do the best we could. So that was really nice. We just approved a budget, so we're good there. We have the new city hall that's we're going to be discussing at the beginning of the year and whether or not that moves forward or not. There's a little bit of contention within the community about that, whether we can afford it or not. And we're actually mixed emotions on that. And so that's with January. In January, just to let you guys know, that is a go or no go point for City Hall. Right now, it is $22 million, and that comes out of a penny fund. So it doesn't really affect the ad valorem portion of the budget. So if we go ahead and move forward on City Hall, it won't necessarily, that means we're raising taxes. That's really not it. It's just a matter of whether there's going to be enough money in the penny fund. And so because the penny fund, all that money comes from the county. So we are really analyzing our revenue as it comes from the county regarding the penny. And the county's there's always a 2-month lag on reporting the revenue stream. And I get that, right? They got to figure out, they can't figure out what happens in October on November 1. It takes them a little while to get all the revenue in, et cetera, et cetera. It needs to get reported. And so right now, I think it's good news that right now they are reporting basically 3% down from what the projection was, which is amazing for where we are in the pandemic. So to only be 3% down in the penny fund is amazing. And that's been steady. And I'm going by memory here. I believe in April or May, it was 15% down. And so that to be only 3%, and that's the way it's been for the last couple months, is good. But even 3%, that's 3% down is very good. But is it enough, right? And so those are questions that we really need to answer in Beats this year. One of the things that we did was we at least got the plan of the new City Hall to a complete design package. So we are basically shovel ready. And the reason that took some money to do that. So that was questionable. It took $600,000 to get us to that point. But what it does is now that that makes us shovel ready. So when the economy does look good, we can go ahead and start. We don't have now we need to catch up and get shovel ready, but also for any grants or anything that the state might be offering for infrastructure. Most of those times, those grants are only available to projects that are ready to get going because they want to use that to kind of spur an economic engine in employment in the state. And so we'd be ready for that. So we thought that was a pretty good move. So it's a matter of just analyzing the numbers and making sure the economy is kind of staying strong. Residential properties seems to be better than last year. Commercial is lagging behind, and that's par for the course, I guess, given the economy. So from a financial standpoint, the city is doing well. We're just watching the numbers, just like everybody else is watching the numbers. And so other than that, the city is doing well. Everybody, you woke up this morning, your toilet's flushed, your lights went on. So, all your basic services are functioning well. And so life is pretty good in the community, and that's easy for me to say because it is Dunedin, and Dunedin, for the quaintness, for the cuteness, for the historic parts of the city, what really does set Dunedin apart from other communities actually are the residents. And the residents, the business owners, the consistent and constant talk of buying local. And so just Maggie and Brent, I agree with what was said earlier. You guys just need to do this thing. Just get it up and running. And because we have such a passion to keep it local. And you saw that all over Facebook during the pandemic, to make sure that if you're not eating at home, that you're supporting a business. And you've seen some business model changes to adapt to that, which is as it should be. I know that Dino is probably pretty proud to see that. There were some businesses that could make that business model change, and they're suffering because of that. But anyway, so that's kind of what the city's doing, unless I've missed something. I'm working with Michael on inclusivity and just making the city welcome to all races, all gender identities, and just being who we are. I think we do well in all those areas, but that doesn't mean that there isn't room for improvement, and that's where we should have our eye on the ball. I'm a Presbyterian as well. And I'm a member of the First Presbyterian under David Sheeler. So Evelyn, reach out to David. Wonderful man in the community. And the worst case scenario is he can say no, but still reach out. As a business owner, I think everybody's used to no's, and so you keep knocking until you get that yes. But anyway, sorry, I tend to babble. I'm a politician. That's what I do.
It was good babbling.
You did real good, Jeff.
All in all, life is good in Dunedin.
It was informative for sure. I was happy to
trying.
hear some of what you reported on for sure.
And for those who might be new to this, I do try and reach into this meeting every week, and I'm always open and available. During the meeting or outside, give me a call. If I don't have an answer, I'll get an answer for you. And thank you for being part of Dunedin.
There you go. Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody. See you next week, featuring Dino Eliadis, the famous one.
Famous one. I don't know how famous I am, but
Or the infamous one? I don't know.
Infamous, yeah, that's it's a different
although-
spelling. Yeah.
although I must be doing something right, because I had a thing in my mailbox that somebody wants to interview me on a podcast, and the last person that one of the last people they interviewed was Michael Gerber. Does everybody know who Michael Gerber is?
Yeah, he had a stupid book, but anyhow.
Yeah.
Michael's an interesting guy if you've never met him, believe me.
I haven't. I'd be interested to meet him for sure.
Okay. See you guys next week.
Take care, everybody.
Adios.
Have a good week.